Hello, welcome to my tutorial series, Object-Oriented Programming for Mobile Website Development. So at this stage now, where we continue from where we left off, we have to create more functions. But before I go ahead, let me quickly go through this again, the second time. So the first thing we are doing here is getting our URL strings, okay? And all we are doing is to create a local variable to hold that value for our URL get variable. So if there's any strings attached at the URL bar, it will assign it to that value and return it. Okay, so that's a very simple function indeed. And the second function, what this does is to go create a local variable to hold that value that will be returned from the first method, which is getURLString. So that is now assigned to a local variable which will pass through this prigmatch function. So what we are using a regular expression here. So this is not ordinary PHP code. So it's a regular expression. Now the PHP kicks in here because strip slashes is your PHP code. And it will strip off all slashes from the string, trim it, and once that is gone through that process, if it matches, then that will be true. So that this function now will return true if there's a match. And now you go ahead and strip off all tags from that as well. So by the time your data goes through this process, it must be clean. That now if it's not true, then false. You go ahead and output some statement to the user and exit the script from there. Okay, so that's the two methods done. The third one, first method, the second method calls the first method, and the third method calls the second method. So by the time this third method is executed, it has got all the functions implemented in the first and the second functions. So that's what we are doing here. So now this third function, all this we do is to create URL array. Just convert the URL strings into array. Okay, and it does that by using this explode function. What explode function will do is to just break that up in an array format, so we can grab the key, we grab the key and use that key for our variables, like that. So that's why it's called explode. Okay, so you break it up like that, into 0, 1, 2, 3. Array starts count from 0. So you break it up from 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Depending on the amount of strings there is at the URL bar. Okay, so that's what this explode function does. Right trim just simply remove trailing slash from a string. That's what that does. Okay, so now the next function we have to implement will be, what I would do at this stage. Let me quickly go to, because some of the functions I have to implement from here on, I might need some functions from this try-catch class. So what I can do, I can go ahead and minimize this class and then go into this one to implement those functions. Okay, so I will first of all create the error function, because so that if there's if we want to use that in our conditional statement, when something goes wrong through error, then we have to have the function in place to do so. Although we have to implement all functions before we can run the code anyway, so it doesn't matter. Now, what this will do is to go to our controllers folder and get a file called error.php. So this function will go and require or include error.php That's a file name, and inside that file is a class name which we want to create instance of. So we have to go ahead and issue this new keyword and the name of the class in that file. Obviously, the only thing you use class objects to do is to invoke methods implemented in the class, which in this case is called index. See, that's this function done. All this is going to do, go to that folder, controllers folder, look for that error.php file. Inside that file is a class name error. Create instance of a class object from that and use it to call the index method. And obviously this is the method that will output that error to the user. Okay, so the other function we want to create here is called, what shall we call that? Class check. This method is simply going to check if class exists, and if it doesn't, it will throw an exception. So what this is going to do is if not, exclamation sign class underscore exists with s at the end. That takes one parameter, and that parameter is the class name. You want to check if it exists. Or does not exist, it will throw exception. So this is how you throw exception. Throw new class name exception, and inside there goes, you know, what you want to do when that goes wrong. And so you want to call this method, this error method. So when something goes wrong, throw error. And this, you see, that's the error method we are implementing above. So this exception class can take one parameter here. It could be a method name, a string, a variable. Now you want to check if method exists. So call that method check. Method check will take two parameters. The next one will be class method, and you know, you separate all your parameters with comma separated parameters if there's more than one. Now you put that right there, and obviously that class will change to method. But this, mind you, these are PHP keyword. Class exists or method exists. Okay, so when that does not exist, you throw exception. And here at this stage, what we want to do here is to output stuff to the user, and like send them to, we can send them to a register page. You know, they might need to have need to register. All right, and this is how you reference that, depending on where you want to use this. So you can, depending on your root folder, so you can call that res, and now we take them to register page. Go to the register page and grab that variable. If that variable is set to true, then you know something has definitely happened. So at this stage, you may want to, you know, output something or grab their IP address or whatever, you know, but it's up to you what you want to do at that stage. So method check, class check, error. All right, so okay, so get file. I will give it one parameter, and this will be the URL it will use as an array. We'll use that to grab a key to load, check if file exists. Or we have to create a file variable to hold the file name we are after. And because you know all our controllers are in the controllers folder, it will be easy to reference. Dot to to house your variable, and then string for your file extension, which at this will be .php. And the string that will go there will be in array format, and that will be at index position 0. So that's a controller. If it's a 1, then it's a method in the controller. If it's a 2, it's a parameter in that method in the controller. That's how we remember that. So we got that file variable. Now we want to issue that condition. If file exists, this is our if block. So if not file exists, then what? Throw exception. You see? So you see all these key PHP keyword: file exists, method exists, class exists. That's make it easier for you to know what the functions are doing. So if that class, if not file exists, we take one parameter. The file name you want to check if it exists is that, and then if not, throw exception. Exception is a class name, so you should precede that, prefix it with a new keyword. End of your statement right there. Error. This error method, you see that error method we created at the beginning. So if no file exists, throw error, and that's it. But if there's a file, then you return that variable back to us. So that's what this file will do. If no file exists, it will throw exception, and then it will return that if it does exist. Now, when you call this method, all you have to do is to require that file before you can create instance of a class from it. That's what I'm trying to do. So when I call this method, I will create instance of a class name. From that, I'll have to require that file first, then create instance of a class name, and then use that to call methods in the controller. Okay, so at this stage I'll end this video here and carry on in the next video. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.